finally got something that can actually hit more than just one angle with plain ass white light. So
And then, meanwhile, me, like a pleb, has like a million things backlighting the shit out of me that's blowing out the sensor in my camera and just doesn't care. And it focuses on whatever the fuck it wants, whenever it wants. So,
well, you're also in a much bigger, much more open area than my tiny ass bedroom. So
fair enough. And then D is over here playing around with Beats Audio, or whatever the fuck logo that was.
Dicebox.
Oh, Dicebox.
Oh, that's a Dicebox, yeah.
Okay. I saw the logo on it, and I literally thought it was like the Beats audio logo. I was like, what?
I never had one like that in my room.
Exactly. Dice by Dre.
They're all nestled and tucked in.
Dice by Dre. There's a whole new meaning to rolling in it.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. All right, so I guess let me recap, and we'll bring us back to speed. But last week on Dragon Ball Z, we successfully defended the town of Leyland from the onslaught of not one but two forces, those of the Talisites and those of the followers of Merkel, led by Ularan Mortis, and aided by the Black Dragon possessing Caligumutar, known as Ebendeth. So, we basically saved the day, yay. And then, a couple weeks have kind of passed, and things have begun to kind of rebuild and come back to normal. And, a dispatch arrived at the behest of Lord Neverember to seek the champions of Leyland and see if they would embark upon two remaining items to be seen to completion. That is to remove the threat of the Talisites from the Sword Coast and to remove the threat of the Spirit of Ebendeth from the Sword Coast as well. So, the hefty reward being placed upon both items to be completed is that of 8,000 gold pieces apiece per quest.
Can't even buy a ship with that. Fuck you. What?
I mean, you could. It just might not be amazing.
I don't think anything's going to compare to, the dreadnought that you found.
I mean,
a galleon is 30,000 gold.
Yeah, I know. But if you pull your money together, if you do both quests. Plus,
if you do both quests,
you never know what you may find in some of the places you may have to go.
We are going towards the potential dragons lair. There might be nice stuff in there.
Also, you don't really need a full galleon to be a pirate, because I'm assuming that's what you're going for here.
I'm a legitimate sailor.
Yeah.
I just everybody think I'm a pirate.
So interesting, naval fact about that I've learned from like a 20-second video clip was, basically that pirates, aka privateers, etc., from the day were effectively just sort of hired but not really hired individuals from countries in Europe to effectively try to dismantle or de-arm and steal from the competition
everyone else
in the Caribbean. So pirates are effectively like actual sailors that were kind of legitimate but also not really legitimate, but kind of maybe not really but also, and made money on the side. But then decided that they were like, you know what, this is cool. So fuck you, and I'm keeping this.
Also, we're founding Jamaica.
So there you go. There's my 20-second clip of information that I learned about, pirates randomly. So, yep, there you go.
The more you know.
Exactly.
Knowing is half the battle.
Exactly. Just get the G.I. Joe title though. All right. So, anyways, now that we've kind of had an interesting intro to this session, we find ourselves a few weeks after the events. Things have begun to reconstruct. The school's production is underway. to the northeast in town. And, basically the defenses are more or less built back to where they were. The north gate is repaired. Things are on their way. Familiar faces and other individuals that you're familiar with around town are probably still here, except for maybe one of them. So, but yes, you receive word via the council that they have received message from Neverwinter, sort of directly addressing you, but seeking, kind of the delivery of these offerings and or this message about these two last remaining things to be done directly from Lord Neverember himself. So what would you prefer to do? You can obviously not do them and just be like, fuck you, we're out. And then we just play like the I'm on a boat song on loop while we just hire a boat and just fucking go away. I don't care.
Oh,
But,
well, look at that! I just got back to Silver Moon. Bye, guys.
So there you have it. So what would y'all like to do?
I mean, does anybody else just want to donate 8,000 paltry gold pieces to building Granny Talia's school? She only started it out with 5, so 5,000 that is. But
5 whole gold pieces.
back in my day,
I mean, both are issues at the end of the day that we probably need to take care of, and we have, in some part, perpetuated to get very angry. So
Maybe.
we do kind of have to do that. So I think the question then becomes what one we want to deal with first.
Yes, indeed.
A good warm up using the barbarians before fighting the dragon.
It's the same thing. I mean, they're all half dragon. That tells me that, they're getting dragon blood somewhere.
We gotta work our way up to the full dragons. We fight the half dragons first.
I don't know.
I would say we deal with the Talisites first, because speaking as a player, we still need to find information in regards to Ebon Death, because we need to know exactly how they are still alive, relatively speaking. And we can only do that in one of two ways. We can ask people around here. I think Galio is going to be the only one who really knows, if he does. And then we also probably have a better shot of going into Neverwinter and seeking aid there as well, which we can do when we deliver a message to Lord Everwinter.
Neverember.
Neverember?
Mhm.
Dear Lord.
Lord Dagult Neverember.
Gee, let's just do Neverwinter or Neverember or Everwinter or what have you for a name.
Yeah, Icewind Dale. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rime of the Frost Maiden. Oh.
So, but we can do that. We can then go to Neverwinter and speak to Lord Neverember and inform him of success, while we also get some information going on about Ebon Death and what we can learn from him, because I don't know how much this town's going to have the information that we need to deal with that. And we did kill a corporeal form, but I don't know how effective we're going to be against an incorporeal form of some type without something else.
Corporeal form.
We did. We beat the ghost out of the old Nobbin.
We hit the ground
Literally
so hard,
beat
its
the ghost out
went
of
out.
But that's my 2 cents.
Makes sense.
That sounded a lot more like a full gold piece than 2 copper, but
Listen here, you little shit.
was the patink the part where Black was just like, all right, banishment, because I don't want to listen to you anymore?
Good luck with that charisma save.
Yeah, that's also fair.
I am very charismatic, surprisingly. My scales shine really good.
My scales shine really good. I'm sure Holly would agree.
Holly's a good
Holly
hype woman.
agrees.
So yeah, I'm kind of in agreement about the Talosites. While Ebondeth definitely poses the larger threat in the long run, the more immediate threat is definitely the Talosites, who have larger numbers for one. But for two, they seem to be not in as desperate of a state as a recovering ghost dragon. So they were just kind of like, oh fuck, retreat.
And now they'll attack things to feel better about themselves.
Exactly.
So I guess
So-
because we're on the post after the battle, I can go over the total numbers of the forces that were present that day.
Oh,
So the forces of undead, thus led by Uleron Mortis, not really including Ebondeth, were numbering about 1,000 strong. And that is basically for everything ranging from your most basic bitch skeleton, zombie, kind of whatever, all the way up to, the ugly shit. The forces of the Talosites numbered about 600 strong, but were a little bit above, your standard run-of-the-mill undead in terms of their structured strength. And the defenses, your defenses, only numbered probably about 250, and you were aided by the fact that you had defenses to hold the forces back. So when you kind of look at the perspective of, how much loss versus strength, I would say that in comparison, the amount of undead that were put down versus the amount that fled versus the Talosites, the contention that theoretically the Talosites have more or are in terms like stronger or something is potentially correct, yes, but they don't really have a whole lot more in terms of the undead by sheer number. So, but I would agree that they have more in terms of arguable offensive power that could become a threat.
their threat is also much more immediate than, say, the forces of Merkel's cult, because it's going to take them some time to start raising undead and things like that again.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, you have to think like their effective campaign was to take Leyland. Did they succeed?
No.
So think what the mental state of those individuals may be and of their potential deities. So,
Mhm.
but
What about you,
Coin
Quiet
flip on
Two?
how Talos feels about it.
so in either case, I'm not necessarily stating one way or the other what we can do, but I just need to figure out from you guys what direction, who you want to talk to, what you want to buy, what do you like? Do you want to have ice cream for breakfast? Like, that's kind of what I need to know.
Mhm. What about you, Quiet Two? What do you think of where we should go first?
Don't everybody go all
Si-
at once.
Silent
I
looking
just
at
like
each
how they
other.
both look at each other, just like,
I do think that the cult members are probably more of a priority than going and beating up some dragons.
No, you're all fucking wrong. Why the fuck would we go after a cult when we just beat a dragon to a bloody fucking pulp and we know that it's weak? But when it was strong, oh boy, did it almost one-shot all of us with one breath weapon. So yes, let's go fuck off with some fucking cultists, I guess, while
We need
this
to get
thing
our confidence
regathers
back.
its strength.
But if we gain the knowledge to weaken the dragon or put it back in the fucking like onyx stone, then we won't have to worry about beating it to a bloody pulp. We can just pop it back in a rock and throw it down a well somewhere.
Sure.
Because that's safe.
Yeah.
Let's just work backwards
know.
to work forward.
Let's
And
give it to
ladies
Klug,
and
it's
gentlemen, that's how
fine.
the next campaign
I know a
started.
real neat cave near everyone's area that we can toss that stone. Nothing lives in there.
Not a thing.
okay. So, with that though, I'm gonna go find Galio if he's up and about and ask
Mhm.
a few questions.
Sure. Yeah, he. You can find him in the house with Alvar. returned to his post, effectively seeing to the recommissioning of the planar beacon yet again, but with a slightly different perspective this time. One of more trying to contain, not so much as to advance inside of.
Gotcha. Okay. I will head to the house of Thalvar and do all the rigmarole with the guards, make sure that, you know...
I'm sure they don't give a fuck when they see who you are. They're just like,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll go up there. I'll go to his study, and then I'll knock on the entrance to the door, as I'm sure he's, once again, just not paying attention to anything else but the book in front of his nose.
You know him all too well. So he hears your knock, and he says, yes, enter.
Galio, I think, do you have a moment?
Ah, my friend, yes, for you. What can I do for you?
I have a couple of questions that I think you might be the only one able to answer in this town outside of going to Neverwinter proper and asking the scholars and academics there, but Ebondeath, it retreated from the battle and left Caligmutar's broken body after we had beat it soundly to within an inch of life. And Lord Neverember has given us a task to deal with it and also the remaining Talosites within the area that are sure to regroup and attack again at some point. And the problem is we can deal with the corporeal. Even my training as a paladin has not really prepared me for dealing with possibly an immortal-ish dragon spirit of some type. I am curious if you have come across anything in your studies of Ebondeath at all and what to do with him.
Very interesting proposition indeed. One where I do not chiefly know myself, but I know someone who may. I will spare no expense to find you this answer. Give me a moment. And he rummages in his little planar pocket, searching for the right components, and he pulls out some dust, some chalks and things, and begins writing on the wall, making a circle and some runes and things, before enchanting on the wall and effectively opening a visible link that you can tell is somewhere that must be far away. Oh, Terrence, I need your wisdom. And you see an, aged man turn and look through this now circular window that reaches through space and time to this, wherever this old man is. Oh, Gallo, it's you. Well, what can I do? Well, you see, my friends here need some information about a particular black dragon and its spirit. Oh, Eben. Oh, well, yes, okay. You see him shuffle kind of in a very old man, excited, shuffly way over across his little room and start flipping through some tomes, looking for things. It's been quite a while since anyone's had any interest in this. Let me see. He comes back with, kind of his arms a little full with some papers and things. So, well, what do we need to know? Well, first, I suppose, where we might find the spirit. Because, as best we know, the spirit simply retreated back to the Mare of Dead Men. Ah, yes. Well, I see here that over 1,000 years ago, the dragon made its home in a tower of a fallen citadel of the Uth Lords, chiefly named the Uth Tower. And that is where you will find him. Oh.
Over 1,000 years ago, you say?
Yes, this tower has sunken into the wastes of the Mere of Dead Men. But if the spirit has been present, someone has certainly entered it.
With that known, the next question becomes if you have come across this in your studies, since you seem a keen historian to say the least, as I make note of him and all of his papers and all of that jazz. What does it say in regards to how Ebon Death gained this immortality? Because the only thing I can think of that is similar to him is either a vampire or a lich, and liches are not exactly easy to put down.
Well, fortunately, you happen to be speaking with the foremost knowledgeable individual in this particular topic. But I have it written here in this journal from many, many centuries back, a scholar himself, that many millennia ago, this area was under the devotion of Merkel. And from this, Ebon Death gained favor and power, and slowly was able to evolve into a Dracolich. As Merkel's power then waned, so did the physical form of Ebon Death. Thus, he lives on, still, without a form. But the spirit is strong, especially in places bound to its existence.
The Uth Tower, for instance.
Indeed.
So, am I to rightly assume that the entire tower is similar to a lich's phylactery in some essence?
Perhaps. I can't quite know for certain, as I certainly haven't been there myself, what with it probably being under the mud. But one can imagine that it must. But at the same time, there could very well be something inside, perhaps, that binds them.
Do your notes mention anything that Ebon Death feared or loathed above all else?
I do not see anything to that nature in here. No, I don't believe that anyone had written down anything in terms of the dragon's personality, only that it was ill-favored.
Yes, I'm well aware he probably feared death, concerning he wanted immortality.
I mean, maybe not, though, because, like, you know, if you kind of become death and or itself, can you truly fear it if you are now one with it?
I am become death destroyer.
I was thinking it.
Thank
I was
you,
waiting for someone to say it.
Yeah, but
All right, Thanos.
we actually you said that we saw fear, and then he
Mhm.
flew away.
Mm-hmm.
So there was fear there,
Mhm.
fear of loss, fear of disfavor of I'm assuming Merkel, and if we can't kill it, Merkel can, or some
Fear
other
of
god, I'm
black.
sure. Or maybe it was just fear of being put back into a rock.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, fear of high places.
Tell me.
Now,
Mhm.
same with Caligulator.
Fear of rooftops for sure. Yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, as far as that, I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny any of your assertions about this dragon and what
Fear
you
of butterflies.
and what you noted. Yeah, fear of butterflies, I suppose, is probably in there too now.
Yeah, stupid grenade.
Because randomly, you know, just like things suddenly explode in the middle of a field of butterflies where you can't see.
I'm still really salty about that grenade.
I am too, trust me.
We're gonna have some words
Yeah.
with those gnomes. if
Hey.
they're still here.
Oh, weird. They left as soon as he used the grenade. They just vanished.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah. tell me, Terrence, is there any way you could find out more about Ebon Death if you poured some time into your research? I do not like going to deal with him uneducated, to say the least, because I have a very sneaking suspicion that the person who also entered that tower and initially possibly brought him to light might be working with someone a bit more powerful than he.
Well, I mean, I suppose I could look into it more, but there's not much more for me to look into, you see. I happen to have been doing so all of my life, so I'm not sure what else there really is to gain, but I know as much as can be known about the dragon and its existence.
Very well. Thank you. I do appreciate it. And with that, I'll kind of turn to Gallo. And I guess Terrence is still listening to you because the portal hasn't closed, correct?
Right, it's still open. Mm-hmm.
I'll mention to both of them. Tell me your honest opinions. Do you believe that Ebon Death is a threat at this time, considering the speed and the fashion he took to fleeing?
Well, I can't really say for sure either, because, you see, something that which was sleeping before is now awoken. Just because it doesn't have a form doesn't mean that it can't impact the world around it. Terrence kind of nods through the portal. Yes, very true. It could simply influence others to do its bidding. It doesn't have to directly interact. So I would say that the threat is still very real at this time, but we may not have seen anything come of it just yet. However, it doesn't mean that things may not be in motion.
True, but if you and Gallo could pull together whatever information you can about this Uth Tower and roughly where it's located in the Mire of Dead Men, that would be most appreciative.
Yes, very well. I will have one of my pages bring it to you. He kind of turns over to his side and snaps his fingers. Timothy, come hither.
Little Timmy.
And you see this kind of not really teen, but kind of like a little older than teen, kind of scrawny looking kid who probably is trying to become a wizard or learn, the magical ways. Come rushing over and basically nodding his head and, accepting these things to hold on to. And then, Terrence says, let you know, like, he'll be there in a moment. And kind of, you hear the door open through we'll call it the window. You hear the door open through the window at the same time that you hear the door behind you open, and through steps Timothy carrying these parcels.
I just got thank you, and I'll
Magic.
take them. I'm just thinking, all I'm thinking is, Jesus Christ, can't they just send it like normal?
So Timothy kind of hands you the items and gives you a little nod, and then kind of goes back through the door and closes it. So,
thank you. This is most appreciated.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I'll be sure to have Gallo return them once we are through.
He had most certainly returned them to me. Otherwise, I will consider it his forfeiture at our next game on Thursday.
I look at Gallo like, are you gambling? What are you gambling with?
Nothing to be concerned about. In either event, do we have our answers now? Do you need anything more from my friend Terrence here? Or can I leave him to stew on his potential losses this week?
I believe you can leave him to stew, as you so put it.
All right, very well, very well. Terrence, I will see you in a few days. Until then, goodbye. And as Galileo kind of reaches his hand over, he makes a little flick with his hand, and the little window in the wall kind of turns back from a visible hole portal into just some chalk and lines on stone.
Mhm. Thank you. I do appreciate this, Gallo. I still have reservations about treading into this swamp, so to speak, but
Understandably
at least now I know
so.
where to go.
Understandably so. I would not want to go there, but for some that have effectively saved my life, I can do no more than everything. So here is as much as I am able to provide.
Thank you. It is appreciated. And then I'll give a curt nod and I will head back to the inn and meet everyone down in the dining area and have a big enough table so I can spread out some of the papers and the maps so that Azzy can take a look at them and copy them down, so to speak, so then I can deliver them back to Gallo and things like that.
Keen mind.
Also helps he has cartography.
Cartography. Keen mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really funny. I just picture him like sailing out on the seas, and he's like, "I recognize that wave."
I saw that wave 3 days ago. Are we going in circles?
The deckhands look at each other like, "Oh God, he's going crazy again." Someone get ready to tie him up. We're about to pass the sirens.
Captain's been at the seawater again.
So I'll come back in. Gallo has given us some maps from a friend of his by the name of Terrence to take a look at through the mire of dead men. While the Black Dragon is definitely a formidable foe and one we cannot ignore, I still think that we have some time to deal with it. Plus, I would like to see if we could send a couple of scouts into the mire if we have any willing. See if they can give us an idea of what's going on in there. While we can take care of the Talisites and what remaining forces they have. Because that woman that we all thought was drowned is definitely pissed off now that we've seen her twice.
Fair lie, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Farrelly.
Fairly.
We'll make you bend over one way or another.
Whoa.
Oh my.
I'll take that spark out of your eyes.
It's supposed to be prostrate, not prostate, okay?
Dear Lord.
Make you drown on another substance.
Oh, God.
Are you sure you want a DM for us, Harper?
Yeah, this is what I
look,
deal with,
falling
but
rocks.
it's nothing new to you, so.
I'm still excited to hear from John when he becomes a player, so
Yep, I am too.
So, with that, did Lord Never Ember inform us of where sightings of the Talisites have been?
He did not. He only knows that they have effectively been rummaging and pillaging random ships along the coast, and that your best guess of information is that they travel in a magical fog.
Who farted?
I mean, Farrelly, I guess, technically.
it's along the coast, huh?
Silent and deadly. Got it.
Well, probably not
Okay.
very silent, but
I mean, it's fog, so it rolls in silently.
wow, okay. That maybe is true.
Except for the
So-
verbal component to the spell.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Subtle sorcerer.
After the routing of the forces during the attack, did we recover their war drums?
No.
No, they took them with them.
Nice try.
They retreated.
They just took all their siege
Well, I mean,
weapons with them.
so you say war drums and siege weaponry, but like the siege weaponry that they utilized for the gate is probably no different than like using some battering rams that they probably lit on fire.
I'm not asking for like use for myself. I want to know if they still had the drums that were calling down lightning bolts. I want to know if that fog is accompanied by those war drums and are striking ships out at sea to make them sink.
So to that end, I can tell you that the war drums were not recollected or taken during the retreat for what was left. There were elements of the drums that were left on location, but none which were in the shape that could actually still be used as drums. So you have to assume that they either destroyed the components when they left behind them, or they were simply battered or broken during the defense in the onslaught to a certain point where they were no longer usable. And what you found among the wreckage was basically just the stuff that got busted.
Cool. Thank you. So I guess it's after these talosites then.
Yes, for now. I do agree that Evan Death is the more dire threat, but he is something that we still know very little information about. With these talosites, we know they are flesh and blood, and we know of a very easy way to deal with them.
We hope they're flesh and blood.
They're not flesh and blood. I'll eat their souls. okay?
Oh, ooh.
Holly is a roast.
If they're not alive, I will eat them.
Doesn't that count as cannibalism for you? They're part dragon at this point.
Well, I mean, are they?
Dragonborn are
They're
technically
not
not
all-
dragons.
And they're not all technically these half dragon barbarians. Like those were not the entirety of the forces that were attacking. You just didn't see any others because you never really engaged with any others.
Also, technically, I'm not feasting on their flesh, I'm feasting on their soul. Ergo, not cannibalism.
So like the spiritual filling.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or like number 2 in Austin Powers when he slept with himself. Technically not cheating.
It's the creamy center of the human. It's fine.
Can we never use that that terminology to ever refer to a sentient biped again?
Okay,
If they're a quadruped, though, is that okay? Is it
Oh,
okay
yeah,
if they're
totally
a quadruped?
No, that's
Yeah,
different.
totally
We can
okay
put
if
them on a
it's quadruped.
spit and roast them.
All right. I mean, you can put a
Don't
biped.
you want to spit and roast you? It's the same thing.
No thanks, I ain't into that.
That's all right.
So I know this is slightly off topic, but on the topic of cannibalism,
Mhm.
so I'm in the Discord for that Stardew Valley like game that I was
Yes.
telling you guys back a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
And apparently there's a big to-do about cannibalism in that Discord where people really, really want to eat the mermaids.
That's kind of awkward.
Yeah, and the mods have been like handing out warnings to people who talk about it because it's become such a problem.
Wow.
But anyway,
All right.
moving on.
I promise I will not make anyone eat any mermaids in this campaign.
Thanks.
That is my gift to you all.
All right, don't mind me as I get out my notebook and chalk down ideas for a survival style campaign.
Perfect. You can only survive on mermaid sustenance. All right, so basically, the gist of the situation and scenarios as they've been unfolded before you is you have your 2 quests. We have some information and leads on where to go and find the Uth Tower, the home, the mausoleum of sorts, where Ebondeath, if I could speak, was effectively, quote unquote, laid to rest, as their corporeal form was, turned to dust as the power of Merkel left the coast back in, millennia ago. And you know that a random fog seems to be attacking ships along the coastline, and that's probably where the talosites are, because that is one of their MOs from prior experience.
Nano machines eating the ship.
Yep. Thousands and thousands of microtermites just eating the timbers.
Nano machine, son.
So So those are basically kind of like the lay of the situation. And then within that, now you need to kind of determine what you would like to do, and I guess technically also how the hell you're going to find the Talosites.
No, I'm feeling a
So-
lot less confident about leaving Ebon Death to wait while I get these highlights after hearing about Ebon Death now.
What was that?
All right, so yeah, while you're up, while you're away there for a moment, basically we have more information at the moment on where at least to find Ebon Death. We don't really have a ton of information to go on about where to find the Talosites, but between those two avenues, you have some choices to make, and then theoretically some more fact finding or adventuring and exploration to partake upon. So, what do?
Well, someone needs a ship to go up and down the Sword Coast, huh? I got a person, well, I've got somebody for that.
You know someone that
Okay.
knows someone.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine that an old fairy woman would know someone who has a boat. Oh my god, what a small world it is.
Oh, I know a very special boat. A very
Spellings are a little
special
different.
boat.
Blackwind, if you have the means and access to your boat, then it's probably worthwhile doing that and seeing what we can learn, especially from the towns and the areas that were raided.
I'm not charging
Jokingly.
cannons again.
Jokingly, is this the part where my eyes roll back into my head for 15 minutes and Blackwind starts like screaming gibberish in the middle of a tavern?
Disintegrate!
I mean,
Please don't call your
maybe.
god. For all that is holy, for all that is here, please do not call upon your patron just yet.
I like that you changed it away from holy at the last second.
For all that is.
Quick, take the alternative exit there.
Suffice to say, we don't need your head spinning around in 15 different directions while you talk to your patron. If
Especially
that's
when
what
you're
your
sitting at
patron
the tavern.
wants when you dial their number.
Dial their number. Okay. I mean, I can try to contact my patron, but we'll see how that goes. I'll give it a try later this evening.
Yeah, usually you just receive calls from Funky Town. You never get to dial it yourself.
Exactly.
Suffice to say, you have access to a ship, it sounds like, and we do have
Potentially.
what appears to be two premier sailors in our midst, so.
Premier. I'll have you know the actual boats that I sailed before one of them decided it wanted my soul for all of eternity were rafts mostly, or small flat bottom dinghy type ships.
To be fair,
Nothing crazy.
that ship has you and Azzy in common, so it liked you both a lot.
So maybe
Clearly it liked me more.
maybe this time you have a little curved beauty with a little rounded bottom.
Suffice to say, in a sense, where is this contact that you may have?
Somewhere on this plane, hopefully.
That's the part that we'll have to get to. You all continue drinking and hopefully pass out later this evening. I'm going to retreat to my room and get on that.
I sort of own a shipwright company.
Do you have access to your vessels, or are they all in lieu of trade?
I mean, things can be commandeered. Assuming that,
And you said you didn't want to be a fucking pirate.
They're his boats!
I fucking own them! Fuck you!
It is a legitimate business.
You have a small point. Small.
That's all Blackwind can come up with. Small boat.
I would be surprised if one of my vessels isn't currently docked at the piers here. That being said, I have no guarantee that what size it'll be if it is currently engaged in something that it cannot be ripped from. These vessels are merchant purpose. So to ruin somebody's livelihood just to throw away a boat to kill some Talosites, I mean, greater good here. I am still in charge, for lack of a better term, of this company, and I don't want to see it flounder just because of piss poor actions. However, I will go browse what is in the pier and get back to you. And so I go.
And so he goes.
Just
Well-
make sure the boat's in ship shape before we go.
God.
Bites his tongue.
While Azzy is doing that and Blackwind has retreated to their room to call collect, let's say,
Walk up the walls.
I will go ahead and refer to whatever text I have on hand in my possession from what I did save from my days in my now completely destroyed order, and try and find and do some research on Dracoliches and see if I can find anything in regards to that.
Very well.
Holly would like to go visit our statues. She's just going to kind of quietly slip away and go visit the statues that the people of Leyland have put up of us. And she'll spend some time copying or drawing the image of them into her journal.
Remembering the shapes forever.
Yeah.
I saw that moment of thought followed by, I'm not gonna say that.
You know it was something dirty.
Of course. Yep, of course.
Just 5 copies of
It
the
wasn't.
Aqua statue.
It was not dirty in the slightest.
I don't believe you.
It was a simple observation that I thought better of.
Oh, okay.
Might say we watched that thought sail away.
I say we hear it. I say we hear this thought that you thought better of.
What the fuck is this? Go away.
He's,
Go draw your statues.
This is an inquisition.
he's getting called out on his thought bluff.
All right. Everybody's ganging up on me now. Jesus. I thought
I
she
did
said,
nothing.
John said to immortalize the statues or whatever in drawing or something to that effect. But I was like, in my head, I was like, they're already immortalized. They're fucking statue. How much more immortal do you want to make them? But I thought better of it because I was like, she wants to portabilize them. So it's fine. It's whatever.
Right.
God damn.
For once, he had a fairly innocent thought.
Fuck.
I mean, I think the underlying theme here is pocket knockers. So
Is that what this is?
What?
Pocket knockers. We have our
anyways,
first iteration of a bad dragon.
Anyways,
let it go. Why?
anyways, I'm going to stop this before it goes any farther. Anyways. All right, so Knight, you're in the harbor checking out potential ships. We have a little artistic re-imaging going on. We have a collect call happening. We have 2 other individuals that are just chilling, drinking, apparently. Is that accurate?
I'm just reading over my notes about my progress on the magic and everything. I look over through my spellbook a bit.
So basically just being a wizard. Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Knockers, I assume you're effectively just, drinking and or
No, I said I was doing research.
research. Right. About Ebendeth.
Dragoliches,
Yep.
yes.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so to that end, let me start then with Azzy. Go ahead and roll for me, if you could, a d12. That's right. Bust those dice out. Dice by Dre. 11. Okay, fantastic. So, from this, you find the presence of none other than a longship in the harbor that you can discern was crafted by the skilled hands of your own company.
Union Shipwright.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hail down the owner of the vessel or the crew of the vessel and ask them to direct me to the owner of the vessel.
All right, very well. So you meet with the captain, a somewhat stout man of human descent.
Somebody I recognize?
Not someone you recognize.
Am I in their quarters or just
Yeah.
out on deck? Okay.
Yeah, you basically pulled into the captain's quarters to discuss.
I'll walk in and I'll nod at the gentleman. Day to you, sir. This is a fine vessel you have.
Aye, yes it is, thank you.
May I ask how you procured it?
Well, you see, I worked for a merchant company many, many moons ago. I worked my way up to eventually pilot my own vessel, and here we are now.
It's quite the tale. I own the business that built this ship.
Oh, my, excellent.
I smile and nod at the gentleman. I'm gonna be very upfront with you, sir. May I ask your name?
My name is Randall.
Well, Randall, you see, there has been a group of Talosites ravaging the coast under guise of a fog. They've been attacking ships.
Yes, I have heard of this.
My crew and I, you may recognize our statues in town, we're looking to procure people to bait out the Talosites and confront them, for better or for worse. I understand that this vessel belongs to you, and that you are a merchant and require it probably to feed your family and the family of your crew. However, in the interest of the greater good, I was hoping you might either lend us your aid in delivering us to our goal, or loan us the boat.
Well, he kind of leans back for a second, stroking at the stubble on his chin. I suppose it would make the area safer. Maybe even give me a better name for myself, which could increase profits.
I smile a little bit and I say, I'm sure I can arrange for your name to get around.
He kind of gives you a grin. Well, then I say it's probably quite possible that I could take you out on the waves and see about finding this force.
I nod to him. Are you in port long?
I am here for another 4 days until goods arrive from the south before I travel yet again.
Very well, Randall. Well, I must converse with my colleagues and verify that this is the avenue of advance that they wish to take, that we as a group wish to take. I shall return to you, if not within the day, then by early next morning.
Very well.
Thank you again. And I give him a slight bow and make my way off this beautiful long ship. Yeah, I kind of stroke it on my way down.
Wow.
And I make my way back to my place of residence.
Oh, okay. Would you like us to close the door for you too? I mean,
I'll be in my bunk.
all right. So, anyways, you have returned back into, the place, the Umberhulk Shell Inn, to effectively wait for everyone else, more or less, I'm assuming. All right, very well. So we will then turn to Avril, who is basically just going over notes and magical things about spells and other wizardry. So, anything interesting that you are hoping to discern from this at all, Avril, in your discussions and investigations?
Just looking into if I'm making any progress on the actual front of working about twisting the necromancy a bit more towards being against the undead.
Go ahead
I'll never
and
get into progress.
go ahead and give me some rolls. Then I'll have you do 3d20 rolls for me. So you make a little bit of progress, but you still feel maybe a little bit similarly confused to where you were at before when you began. But something seems to potentially be formulating and coming together for you. You're just not quite sure exactly how.
Yeah, I got time anyways. I'm only a tiny babio.
All right. So next we will turn to Holly, who is immortalizing the immortalized statues. And effectively, your skill at your journaling leads you to be able to properly take down the forms and make them pictures within your journal.
Yay, go me.
Woo!
I'll just spend some time there for a while, doing the copying and just kind of admiring them for a little bit, and then I'll head back.
All right, very well. All right, which takes us to Blackwind. Dialing the, I guess I can actually kind of call it a telephone, but it's like 1-800-LUCIFER. Do 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 do.
I am well prepared.
Okay.
But you were dealing with a great old one.
No, the Undying is
Do
the
do do
actual
do 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 do. All right, so basically, you attempt to kind of reach out in your mind telepathically to see if you can commune with your patron, and for a great long while, you hear nothing but silence. They effectively don't want to.
normal.
Yeah, they don't care. Basically, is what it comes down to. And then some hours through, you finally hear some kind of response. Mostly to be like, what? What the hell is it that's so important?
Why did you not hang up already? But it's the point where I kind of try to communicate, and I assume because it's a boat, it doesn't really communicate exactly in like words.
Right. I mean, it's basically like you hear the thoughts in your mind. There's not like actually hearing it, but it's kind of like the words kind of pop into your head, like almost like if you were reading a telegraph. It's like word, maybe 2 word. So the sentence structure is not exactly like fluent so much as it is kind of like very I don't know how to really describe it other than like tribal, in that it's like red thing, kind of like that. in terms of being able to formulate the thought of what it wants or what it's trying to communicate to you. So basically, you get a lot of what.
Yeah, I'll try to communicate back in the same way, as creatively as I possibly can to sort of form my question. And like, so I'll start by picturing, like what I saw of the Talosites while we were in the battle, and then I'll try to like sort of create a mental image of them going onto a ship, and then that ship attacking other ships while it's at sea. But then like question mark.
So the answer you kind of get back is kind of the thought of why, almost like it doesn't care. Like why are you what about this do you care?
I'll try to send it the sort of image of the ship and I as being more or less, or using a metaphor of one beast going down after its prey, but then another lesser beast runs off with the kill. And kind of try to infer that the Talosites are like the lesser beast. They are taking away from what should be ours by right.
So then the thought that's impressed upon your mind is coming from the ship of me? Question mark. Almost like it's saying like, what about me? What are you doing for me? What in this victory or this hunt is for my benefit?
I'll return the thought with a sort of created mental image of Blackman picking up the broken bodies of the Talosites from the enemy ship and then binding them to the dreadnought. So bringing them in and basically expanding the ship, building upon it.
So a little time kind of passes without any reply. But you do eventually get a response. And kind of what formulates in your mind is not really a location so much as you kind of visualize an area of the coast that's an inlet. It's kind of like a little inlet that you assume is somewhere on the coast. And so you have a view in your head of what it looks like. It's kind of like a little beach that kind of comes in, no caves or anything, and just has kind of cliff walls going up. But what's notable is that there's two shoals that kind of come out and make a V shape, sort of, as they're broken off. And you kind of get the mental thought in your mind, too, of, like north. So potentially you have a direction and a particular landmark to go off of.
Well, then I'm going to try and communicate my thanks and gratefulness to the ship for its information and time that it has given us, because even though I know it has large amounts of time, it would prefer to spend that time doing something else.
Correct. So from that interaction, you basically just get this resounding soon.
That's not a word a warlock wants to hear. At which point Blackman promptly passes out because the endeavor was incredibly taxing upon her tiny mortal brain.
Of course. Boop. And so we find ourselves in the throes of deep research into the particulars of Dracolich and what may be involved with such a being.
Mm-hmm.
And as best as you're able to find in all of the studious areas of research and the available resources provided by Yellow
Right.
and his many contacts, you're able to determine that a Dracolich effectively is the same, more or less, as a Lich. Only that they similarly have a larger font of power that they started with within their own domain previous to kind of this devilish contract, so to speak.
Mhm.
And so from that, you have kind of inferred that Ebondeath probably has quite a bit of potential strength within this realm. However, some of that strength likely is hinged upon its presence and or, let's say, obedience or shared goals with Merkel that awarded them, such power in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, and I can also probably surmise that if it's in its tower, it has a bit more power than if it's out in the world, so to speak, as well, just because of proximity to a lair of some type, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It does have some proximity to a lair, but as best as you can determine from the location of where the Uth Tower basically is, you have to assume that it sort of is, I don't really want to say like in the middle of the swamp, but it's kind of like in the swamp a little ways from the path, and kind of as best you can determine from the maps what you have from the past, kind of showing location, what you have now, you're basically just going to be looking in the muck.
Right.
So whatever this used to be, or whatever it used to stand as, surely has, been sunken or washed into, the swamp as the water came in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I am right also in assuming then that his spirit is bound to this world by something, whatever it is.
Right.
And to really kind of be rid of him, I have to find whatever said thing is that's binding him and
Right. Because
destroy it.
Because classic Lich, basically,
Right.
you have to be able to remove the phylactery from existence in order to remove the Lich from existence.
Right. Okay. And we won't necessarily know anything until we actually go into there, which will necessitate exploring the entire domain. So
Yes, more or less as much as you assume. You would think that within the tower, it definitely has to be there somewhere, if it is in fact not the tower itself, because otherwise, where else would this thing be that would be binding it to that location other than in that location itself somewhere? So
right. Okay. With that, I'll do that, and then when we reconvene, we'll talk, and I'll also find a scout of some type who is particularly adept in the area to go out and at least get a surrounding set of field notes while we go and deal with something else. And do that once everyone else returns and we all come together again. And we hear if we have a ship. And we know if Blackwind's patron answered her, or if it just left her on dial tone all night.
busy signal.
You just hear the 1990s dial-up tone playing over and over and over.
Exactly. All right, so yes, basically everyone is doing their thing. They find themselves effectively then retiring for the evening in one way or another. Some of us forcibly, some of us willingly, some of us maybe not so willingly. So, But yes, the evening does in fact end, and you awake the following morning. Essentially, then reconvening as you would, like any old morning, over breakfast. Speaking of your exploits, and potentially of the goings on of Leyland and the greater area from rumors that you hear, and the illustrious drunken stories that Klug tells.
I'm gonna miss Klug.
He fought that dragon off by himself.
I mean,
Putting
he'll
them
tell you.
drinks in him.
Yeah, he'll tell you he did. With just his axe, too.
Just
And I will
Yeah.
back him up.
Yep.
With that, I'll turn to Blackwind. Did you hear anything?
I don't think here is exactly the right term. As remember, my patron is a boat. It doesn't speak common.
Yes, it does.
Oh, snap.
But also it won't be making a personal appearance. But I did get something like a location to go, like go here kind of thing.
You have
Hey
any
guys,
landmark?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I need a second. My mom is calling, which is kind of weird.
Okay.
But oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Um, where were we?
Oh, that's fine. So basically, the boat speaketh through the mind,
That's
not
right.
through
Yes.
not through common of tongue.
Yes, it did give me something like a landmark. It gave me the image of north from Leyland, but then it also showed me something that looked like like an inlet, perhaps just past or near a set of very sheer cliffs. But the inlet itself had a very strange V sort of shape, and Blackwind kind of tries to get her fingers to make the V sort of shape.
As he immediately starts consulting all of his maps of the local area in the Sword Coast region, just looking for any inlets that could match that description.
You're still looking. It's not like it's a needle in a haystack, but it's kind of like two needles in a haystack.
Blackwind does have some small knowledge, much less so than Azzy, of how to read maps or nautical charts and things of that nature. So her understandings of wind and wave are a little more intuitive, so to speak. So she's going to try and do her best to help.
He immediately passes you a key, a legend, if you will, a sheet of paper, because all of his maps are hand drawn by him with a very particular key that he uses for distance, range, and location markers. So-
Perfect.
I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's cool.
Okay. Everything all right?
Everything is cool, I assume.
Everything's fine. I think somebody was like trying to scam my mom because she said that somebody called her phone saying that my phone wasn't active and they were asking for David. And that it was somebody from Verizon. But
Yes.
the Verizon account isn't attached to my mom in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
except for the account that we had moved my number over from. So I don't know, something's not right. Whatever. She
Yeah.
just wanted to call me and let me know so that I could like call them and get it sorted. It's fine. She's fine.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
All good in the hood. All right. So yeah, basically, you guys are now investigating these hand-drawn maps with a legend because
Hmm.
because there's a
Of course,
hidden
it's
Flair.
with the
temple.
legend. I'm here. I've got a fucking statue in the middle of town.
So this is the next morning, right?
Correct.
Can we say just for expediency's sake that I took some time over the course of the night before I went to bed to copy the image of the statues on some nice stationary like paper?
For handouts.
Yes, I want 4 copies.
Sure.
Sorry, I had to do quick math, and math is just not working today for me
It's okay.
at all.
Quick maths.
Quick maths.
It's all right.
Yes, is that okay? Yes, DM.
Absolutely. That is totally fine.
Cool.
We will allow said things. And so you now have 4 copies of these particular drawings ready to rumble.
Thanks.
Okay. So as you go over the maps, anyone else have anything else interesting to bring to the table, so to speak?
I'm still reading my books.
Yeah,
Classic wizard. Okay.
As he's shuffling through the papers looking for anything, he begins talking about the longship, making mention that. So I came across a Yunin shipwright ship with the family crest on it, and approached the owner of said vessel. He's a private entrepreneur, private merchant, and he has agreed to ferry us along the coast in his longship. That being said, it is not without favor, but I will take care of that at no expense to the rest of you. So he plans to leave within 3 days now. He said 4 days yesterday, so I'm assuming that counted down today. So if we plan to act, we should do so within that time frame so as not to interrupt his trade business.
Sounds good to me. We'll make ready to depart in 3 days. It gives us time to prepare and get everything together that we need to for dealing with them.
I will verify his direction, because if the soundings are correct, we need to head north. So I'll verify that he's heading back to Neverwinter and not down south to any country down there. And I will get back to you later today. After, of course, I find a map suitable to our destination.
Sounds good. While you are doing that, I will go around town and seek herbs and remedies so I can spend the next couple of days making potions and things for us so that we are prepared to deal with this, since it has been a while.
That would be fucking phenomenal.
Mhm. Fair enough.
I am
Yep.
going to be busy. Holly, I might require your assistance since you do have some capable hands in this as well.
And my capable hands you shall have.
Thank you.
Were we ever awarded money after this battle?
No. Would you like to be?
Just so that I can afford some fucking potions, yeah. Because
I mean, we
otherwise,
could probably
like
go to
some
the
potions?
council and be like, hey, so we need potions and stuff. Like, we kind of use up our supply.
what supply? My only source of self healing is pulse life.
They didn't know that. They don't know how many potions you used during the battle.
They don't know you.
I do push 3 of the potions I have to Black Wind. Squishy's gotta stick together.
Squishy's gotta stick together.
Holly is
I got-
going to take a big bite of her breakfast, and she's just gonna kind of eye Azzy for a minute. And she's gonna look at him. She's gonna go, "Are you going to sleep with the boatman?"
I pick my head up from what I'm eating. Well, Ozzy, are you going to sleep with the boatman? As she asks, giving him a shit-eating grin.
Yes, Azzy. Are you going to sleep with the boatman?
Now everybody wants to know.
Seeing this kind of reaction coming from her friend, Holly's just gonna kind of pause and look around. Well, he said he was going to be doing this with a favor. He said he wasn't going to be back until later, so one can only assume.
As he puts down the papers and kind of sits like this as he stares at Holly for a second and is like, ah, "You're so precious." Since when did my sex life become the topic of your admiration?
Admiration, no. Curiosity, yes.
Curious what I'm packing, are you?
Not at all. I'm curious to know what kind of deal you're striking for this ship. What kind of ship this is?
Your soul.
It's a long ship.
Yeah.
She clearly missed that part.
And I thought
Ah.
Blackwind had a fucking weird evening.
If it is actually a concern of yours, I will tell you. However, since it is not, don't worry about it. If I want to sleep with the man, I'll sleep with the man.
I'll just kind of look at Argo. Just go back to eating my breakfast.
Argo's just laughing.
I still have a shit-eating grin on my face till I go back to eating.
As I get up after I've found this map, I'll gently caress you on the shoulder and the cheek as I'm walking past you. Just to.
I throw my
Talking
tankard
to.
at his head.
That's fine.
The entire tankard, drink and all. Right at his head.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Nocris. Fuck off.
I don't care, you touched him, weird.
I was gonna say, which one of us are you doing that to?
She's got actual claws. Hooked ones. I'm pretty sure yours aren't hooked, so.
No, mine are not.
Would you like to be my Randall tonight?
Just be careful. Just be careful where we go with this, because if you go down a road that makes certain things potentially have to happen because of RP, I am going to force you to do it in full effect, because I want to make it as awkwardly embarrassing as possible so that we potentially will never have that happen again.
John is a prudish DM. Go.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if we're going to forcibly be RPing some kind of weird sex in open table RP with the group being there to watch, I feel like it's going to have to be done in such a way that it's basically like putting your nose in the shit that you put on the ground. So
This is how you train puppies.
Look what you've done!
I just want to throw it out there. Y'all did this, not me. You all did this.
I don't think I did anything. I disagree.
To be fair, John didn't do anything.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure Harper
Three of
didn't
you
do anything either. So.
3 of you did this. And that's a majority.
Oh,
Democracy.
Pretty sure it's called mob rule at this point.
Yeah, pure democracy, my bro. The majority.
all right. So we got some interesting things kind of happening here, I guess, huh? So we have a location, sort of place to go towards. We have a potential ride. We have some other preparation that's going on. If there's anything else that anyone would like to do other than preparing, let me know. Otherwise, I'll basically kind of like montage us through the next couple days of preparation, and we will effectively just do some things to speed up time a little bit so we can get ready to get underway.
I would like to talk to Galileo about what I'm working on, see if he has any ideas if he has time, what he might think about the thing I'm working on.
Okay. And Holly,
I
what,
would
what stuff would you like?
Definitely like to help Nokris with the potion making.
Anyone else with anything else to do other than persuading a potential boat owner?
I don't have to persuade him. He already agreed.
All right, well.
Actually,
enough.
yeah, I think I would like to go
Right.
talk to the council.
Did,
And,
did he
speak
not
with him.
agree?
No, he did. But you made it seem like there was, some further bargaining to be done. But
No, that was just me. I told him I'd come back the next day and update him on what the group decided. The group
Okay.
decided that in 3 days' time we would be traveling, I'm assuming, north with him.
yes.
And that was the second goal of the secondary visit, was to ascertain his next destination.
Okay, very well. So from said visit, you know that he was bound for Neverwinter, so he would be heading up the coast, so that this does jive with the direction of his particular cargo and his maneuvers. So
Additionally, did I find a map that had anything to do with what I was looking for?
you found maps. You found some that potentially could be the particular location. However, there's some that it could be. So you're not really sure which one it exactly is based upon the description that was given to you. You're going to have to basically try to feel it out as you go along the coast and figure out which one is the right one.
I asked Randall if he recognizes these as particular hideouts or anything like that.
Randall can tell you that he doesn't really recognize it, but
Nope.
It's probably out there.
Excellent. All right, well, I'll thank him for his time and be on my way.
Okay, very well.
I will head for the post office.
All right, cool. All right, so speaking with Galileo, he is intrigued to hear what you're attempting to do and notes that while he doesn't really have much to offer in the way of assistance with it, that there could be individuals within the college, the greater school of magic, that would probably have some insight, but no one that he can really kind of get you in front of or speak with at this point in time. So he essentially devotes the ability to try to get you aid in the directions you're seeking to go with your magics. However, can't really provide anything to that effect just yet.
Thank you for everything you can provide. I give a bow and head out to just do some little preparations of picking up the resupply my component pouch and all that.
Okay. Very well. All right. Any other equipment or errand-related items beyond the post?
Blackwind was headed to the council, wasn't she?
Yeah, I wanted to go talk to Griselda and her gang, I guess, to see if maybe we could get some supplies from them, because we don't know how long we're potentially going to be at sea or adventuring up and down the coast looking for maybe a port where the Talisites are landing, or maybe the ship is coming to pick us up, or I don't really know. But either way, it would be good to get some supplies. So
Okay. Very well. So you meet with the council, and upon seeing you, obviously everyone is giving you much adoration. So basically, you ask them if they can assist in the aid for helping to supply you, and they are most happy to assist. Simply kind of give them the requests that you have for things, and they will do their best to fill them without any charge to you.
Cool, because I assume then that all we would really want to carry with us on a journey like this would be, of course, food, um, probably a few barrels of water as well, like actual fresh drinking water, because depending on how long we're going to be out there, we don't want to be drinking salt water. So,
Agreed.
and then obviously fruit in case we do go out to sea for any extended period of time. But then other various adventuring supplies, like maybe a few coils of rope, a handful of potions per person, sleeping materials, because hey, it gets fucking cold out on the water, so things like that.
Yep. Very well. And getting a list of items that you required, they see to fulfilling that for you, but they ask when you'll be departing so that they know what their deadline is.
I believe it's in what, 2 more days. Is that right?
On the third
3?
day. Yeah, so you technically have 3 days. So
Yeah, so 3 days.
all right. So they nod and will do their best to get everything you ask for and have it ready for you by that time.
Alrighty then. Thank you very much, esteemed council members.
And they give you the thank you very much, champion of the town.
Yes, please worship me.
All right, so the council is basically going to bankroll you on your supplies for this particular adventure and probably some other things. So to that end, we'll discuss here in a moment once we wrap up with the post with Azzy.
I am simply writing a letter to my liaison, the acting head of my trade company, mentioning Randall's name and looking for information in his trade history and in ways that I may or may not be able to assist him in rising further.
Gotcha. Very well. And so the letter is sent. All right, so basically where we're at now, we're going to blow through some time. So to that end, I will say that the component crafting that you're going to be doing between Nocris with the aid of Holly assisting, you can generate, we'll generate 3 greater healing potions per individual of the group.
Okay.
Okay. That will give them all to knockers to distribute.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
you
everyone
gotta-
gets 3.
You got to assume at this point, you guys effectively are just sitting around twiddling your thumbs, so to speak. So you're basically spending all fucking day just making potions. So
Yep. So everyone gets 3 potions of greater healing.
Now I'm up to 5.
And the ones that you passed to me earlier, Argo, what's
They were standard. Just
standard?
regular healing for you.
Okay.
all right, so there's that. Then basically, food and everything is tended for you for the next couple days without having to expend any of your own resources against it. The proper provisions that you require for a voyage at sea, probably for the duration of at least 2 weeks, is prepared and stockpiled for you at the docks. Other supplies such as various ropes, implements, poles, even things as crazy as climbing gear, because they didn't know if you're going to need it or not, was effectively brought and readied for you down at the docks. In addition, they gave you essentially some other, not quite as potent healing potions, so standard healing potions. So within that, there's probably, let's say, 30 of them that are there that they've provided for you. So you have the ability to distribute that among the group should you choose. But otherwise, you have that wealth of potions, which you can simply stow on board the ship if you wish and not actually carry at the moment in time.
Jingle, jangle, jingle as you carry 30 healing potions.
You just hear the little tink, 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 tink of glass vials rattling against each other.
I imagine they're carried in a like a crate kind of storage situation, a bit like glass beer bottles and like those crates with all the little slots and shit. Just tink, 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 tink as they're rattling around like that. Yeah.
Ali just carries it over his shoulder in the battle.
So
Could use it as a weapon.
So from all that gathering and preparation, you have all the items there in the dock, and come the third day, you effectively are able to then load your supplies onto the ship, in among the rest of the cargo that the ship received, thus being ready to set sail with that morning, after everything being stowed and everyone being effectively on board, getting themselves situated. You're ready to head out onto the waves. So if you have any last minute items, now is the time to discuss and look at those. Otherwise, we will set sail.
Definitely thought you were gonna say last wishes there for a second, and I'm like, not how I wanted this campaign to end, with me being dead at sea.
I made sure to pick up a small glass cone for my cone of cones.
Okay. You have it. So we set sail.
Mhm.
Let me change
Small
this.
cone felt like a weird thing for a component pouch to have in it, so I decided to do that separate.
All right, so we are on the waves. So from Leyland, we make our way out. Freehand, color, picker, something obvious. There we go. So we basically, from Leyland, make our way out into the sea and begin to sail north along the coast, searching for this particular inlet where we see these V-shaped shoals and rocks. Because two of you are seaworthy, and the captain of the ship himself has very decent familiarity with the area, I would like for someone to effectively roll for me a D10 with advantage, or just roll 2 D10s if it comes down to it. As you roll up upon the first prospective inlet.
Nine.
Okay, so as you enter the cove,
We all crash and die.
Blackwind kind
Don't
of
say that.
looks at the shapes of everything, going back in her mind, kind of remembering what the images looked like. And this is not the cove. This is not the inlet.
This ain't it, Chief.
And so you continue on the seas, looking yet again for another potential spot. The next one in the list of many potentials that you had seen on your maps. Continuing along.
Also,
And
I 100% have the Pirates of the Caribbean background music playing right now.
nice. And so you come upon another cove. Go ahead and roll for me yet again, please.
With advantage again?
Yes. All right, so you rolled 10. And, Harper, Blackwind basically is checking it out, being like, well, I see shoals, and they are kind of V-ing, and I see the cliffs, but they're not quite steep enough. And, this isn't exactly the one. So we continue yet again. And we pass through the night as we kind of weigh anchor in a familiar area that we had been at previously, where we had run into the dreadnought itself, parked onto the ship. onto the shore, onto the rocks, while we, did our little investigation of sorts. But we spend the night basically moored up here at anchor, waiting it out. And in the morning, we note that for the most part, the sky is somewhat clear, but there are clouds to the north. And so we continue. Dun, 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 dun.
As
Oh,
everybody wakes up, they hear the sound of the hymn of Anuria.
oh. And so you make your way to another cove. Go ahead and roll for me again.
2d10s, right?
Yep.
7.
Okay. This one is not it because it doesn't have Ving rocks. One of them maybe was a V at one point, but it looks like maybe it's broken off or fallen into the water. So you kind of have like one of these going on.
Oh, like
So you continue. And as you pass through the midday here, we go up the coast some more, and we come upon another location to check. Go ahead and roll.
10.
All right, so sizing up the vantage here, looking things over. You see the V. Yep, okay, the V is there in the rocks. Good, perfect. All right, check one. Yep. See the alcove. It looks to be correct as far as the way that the cove and the inlet should be. So, okay, all right, we got 2. Check 2. You look at the rocks and the cliffs, and you're like, wow, it kind of looks close. It could be it, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. The details may be a little fuzzy. It was in my head, but you think maybe this is it. And so, you find the cove that you believe it to be, and you pull in and drop anchor and kind of hang out, thinking, all right, the boat told us to come here, now what?
so that's kind of the part where I'm lost. Boat said go here, I am here. What do? So
as you're standing on the deck, kind of trying to figure out, all right, what were we supposed to do here? You see the haze of a fog on the water, out in the distance, kind of coming across a little bit. And you think maybe the fog is just rolling, to the south, which is odd because the wind is kind of going this way. So why would it be going against the wind? That's weird. But you see it moving, but as it's kind of going along, it starts to slow. Like, not quite that it's not moving or nothing else, but that the direction of its motion seems to have changed. So potentially it's changed direction. And before you're really able to figure it out fully, it's rolling towards you. The fog is coming closer into the cove. And you're finding yourselves on ship, staring down this fog approaching, knowing that you likely have found the Talisites and that they are now coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we find ourselves on a black map. No, I'm just kidding. I have to pull you guys onto the map here, so give me a second. Oops, I saw my drawing apparatus in my selection tool there.
That's familiar.
Bump bump ba-da-dum bump ba-da-dum bump ba-da-dum. Ba-da-dum bump ba-da-dum bump ba-da-dum bump ba-da-dum. Ba-da-bum bump ba-da-bum bump bump bump. Bump 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 bump. Filling time while I'm pulling people on the map. It's fine. This is fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you find yourselves yet again the presence of a familiar-looking ship that comes at you through the fog.
Really?
I don't know. The last time we were here, Nakas almost got impaled. So
So effectively, think of this area over here on the side is kind of like the ship that you're on and potential gangplanks as the ship kind of comes in at you and kind of not really latches on, but kind of like, holds you in place with it so that the boarding action is possible in a weird kind of way.
I can't see anything on the map.
Let me just
Neither can I.
let me just make sure that I have vision properly set on these tokens because it could have been broken. Token.
This is the part of the game where half the party screams, "I have dark vision!"
Vision on, night vision on. Let me make sure.
Ugh.
Save. Did that change anything for you, Argo? Nothing? Oh, you know what? I wonder if they turned off illumination correctly. Let me look at the map settings 1 second. We had to do this last time when we were outside. Dynamic lighting. Daylight. Save.
Oh, that did something.
I bet it did. Because they had the map. The map didn't have any settings turned on for lighting. So it's basically just like, this map is dark. End of story. All right. Is anyone still having issues seeing anything at this point?
No.
Nope.
Awesome. All right. So, as you sight the vessel, an armored dreadnought made from metal and bone plows through the fog, driven to banks of bone-like oars outstretched from the decks below. Flames leap hungrily from a brazier mounted to a mainmast, and its ragged sails are stitched from worn leather. A giant's skeleton, clutching a halberd, is lashed to its bow.
It's still leather if it's people.
They're up against us at this point.
Correct. Yeah, they've come about, and they're now alongside of you.
I offer a hail, and I guess Captain Randall is with us, correct?
Yes, correct.
I look at
This
Randall
poor
and tell
bastard.
him not to panic.
And he does not. He stands his ground fairly well.
I look to Blackwind, and I guess I don't know anything about Blackwind yet, so never mind. I don't do that.
Are you sure? Blackwind is happy to answer as many questions as she can.
I offer a hail with a smile, and are there gangplanks that are coming from that ship to ours, or are we putting up gangplanks?
The ship has come about next to you and has kind of stopped. It hasn't put out gangplanks, so assumedly, you trying to get on board the ship, seeing as how this is the perceived threat, will throw out planks yourself to be able to get across. But at the moment, beyond the big giant skeletal mast individual that kind of looks at you weird on the front of the ship, you don't really see anyone on the top deck.
Well, last time I saw you, you were sailing off to Anoria. So, are you here to help us, or are you the one bombarding our fleets?
You get no response out of the ship.
You said there's no one on deck?
There's no one on the top deck, correct.
Nobody's making any. The cannon slats aren't opening. No cannon fire.
Nope. other than bony oars jutting out on the lower decks, you don't see anything else that appears to be like moving that shouldn't be moving on a boat, like, sails.
All right, at this point, Blackman's going to just start hoisting up our own boarding planks so that she can start moving supplies over onto the boat, because she's going to guess that this is our ride. So, just hoist plank, hoist plank, hoist plank. We got some barrels to move. Let's go.
Dun, 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 dun. All right,
Hey,
so
Holly
fresh
will-
water are important.
Holly will help move supplies over
Mhm.
onto the ghost boat.
Okay.
And she's going to walk over and give the mast a big hug. And she's gonna hug it and she's gonna give it a pat. She's like, "You were missed. We very much enjoyed our time here last time."
okay,
That's it. She's gonna keep loading her stuff.
very well. You don't get any response or any kind of visible recognition from the ship for that, but fair enough.
I'll grab Nokris as I'm assuming he's gonna assist and tell him we need to be careful here. Last time we only barely got off the ship before it almost took us with it.
Oh, I am very well aware. I am not exactly thrilled by this whole predicament either, but this was supposed to be the easier of the two to get done first, so hopefully it meets that expectation, although now I am more concerned.
I mean, think of it this way. We're not risking the boat and therefore livelihood of a legitimate businessman. So,
Very true.
and potential innocent.
Are the big shooty crossbows still here?
They are.
At
Holly
least,
wants to get up near one, and she's gonna peek over the top of it down at Knockers and go, "Knockers, do you remember using this?"
I look over. Yes, I am well aware.
Was it a lot of fun?
I look to make sure it's not loaded first.
I don't aim it at you.
No, I figured.
It's aimed at Ozzy.
22, baby, 22. Come on, bring it. No, don't.
Oh, look, that has a
Please
plus
don't. I
23
saw what
to
happened
hit.
last time. It impaled that fucker.
Go ahead.
I was
It
just going
was
to say
very
that after the
satisfying, to say
supplies
the least.
are pretty well finished loading, I assumed that with all 5 of us working together, except maybe Argo, I don't know how fragile she is. A little bit.
An 8.
It shouldn't take us more than maybe 10-15 minutes to load everything we need onto
Yeah,
the boat.
I mean, there's other people that are there on the boat too that can help you load shit across.
Right.
So it's
So
not
probably even less than that.
Right.
But it's done. Blackman is going to turn to the rest of the group and say, "And now I think it is time I go and speak with the one to whom I owe my life." And she then lifts the hatch and descends below deck.
perfect. All right, so as Blackwind is basically going beneath deck, you see Randall's kind of "Hey, so you made it. Here we are. I guess I'm gonna hit the road here, the big watery road, if that's cool. I don't want to hang out in this weird fog."
As he shakes his hand and says, "You need to get to Neverwinter quickly. Do not speak of what you saw here."
And Randall gives you a curt nod as he basically pulls anchor and begins to leave the harbor and get out of there. So now everyone effectively finds themselves on board this illustrious vessel. So let me just put some people on board for the sake of effect.
I love it. My patron is a taxi cab.
All right, so
I recommend not
Yeah,
saying that or thinking
Not
that.
this is out of game, out of character.
so as you start to go below deck and you maneuver down the stairs, you come down and you basically make it to the rowing deck below, and you see you see the boys are at it. All of the skeletal constructs at their positions with the oars, basically kind of looking at you blankly, waiting for their orders to continue.
Absolutely unafraid and completely unaffected by this because
Mhm.
they treat me as one of their own at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Given that I am the future captain, so lovely. So I'm just gonna go right up to wherever so and so is basically heart of the crew, heart of the ship into the
Right.
pole down below.
So yeah, you go down another area and below decks, and then you basically maneuver your way into the. I don't know what room to really call this, the body room.
The control room, I guess.
and you see the effigy of the former Death Knight that was made into this dreadnought, and they kind of speak with you a little bit in their boat ways to let you know that you're here. And as everyone is on board and it's clear, you feel the oars and the skeleton crewmen above begin to row as you start out of the cove. And then it kind of formulates into your mind, special passenger below.
Okay. Special passenger. I I really don't know what to make of that. So, below as in like in some form of brig, I guess?
Well, it'll be the hold that's below the deck that you're currently on, just
So-
based upon your experience with the ship.
All right, then before I go and inspect this hold to see who the special passenger is, I'm going to gather at least one other person to come down here with me.
Okay.
Good. I'm strong.
I was going to say, and it was going to be either Argo or Azzy, given that Azzy knows how to maneuver on ships better, and Argo has some skills in dealing with the undead. So one of you two, I don't want to bring too many guests down here and freak out the ship. So
I'll stick to like behind and to your right. Then let's just let you go first.
okay. Just letting the rest of the party know, both of the squishies are together in one tiny room, potentially with an unwanted guest.
Because
So
that's not a bad idea.
Never. That could never go wrong.
just wanted to point that out. Anyways, so let's go check out this hold and see who the special passenger is.
All right.
Or what.
So as you then maneuver with your other friend down below into the hold, you climb down into the slightly underwatered hold of the ship, where you find an individual who is not exactly bound down here, but you can see that they've basically kind of been relegated to this area and that they are quite drunk at the moment. But you recognize the face of none other than Farrelly.
You dumb.
The ship decided to get ahead of us on dealing with them.
Yes. Blackwind.
Youth message.
yes.
Knockers know about our special friend on board.
Sure. So yes, you've alerted the rest of the party on the top deck that we found Fairlie, and she looks like she's been into a few barrels.
This ship is like a like a cat who just said, "Hey, I
I
brought
got
you
you this
this."
bird.
You can't hunt on your own. Here, I'm gonna make sure you live. I just respond back to Argo. Are you fucking kidding me? And then you just hear from the top deck, dunk, 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 as he makes his way down. Not batting an eye at anything in here that is like moving on its own or is constructed of bones or sinew or what have you.
I will
Let's
stay
see.
on top of the deck, talking to the ship, just about things that happen. Just having a conversation by myself, to the ship.
Oh, this is lovely.
So Fairlie finally turns and realizes that she's no longer alone down there. He's like, more shipmates. Have you tried the rum? It's great.
Considering the shape she's in, Black Widow, do you like to try the rum? You're immune to poison, right?
I'm not even resistant, but what are you doing on my boat?
Well, so we had our little coup in Leyland. Didn't go great. So we went back up north to get back to the boat, but we were at camp and the boat was like, hey, no, I don't want to take you anywhere. And so then Talos was like, hey, why are you not trying to take Leyland like I told you? And I was like, well, we tried, but we failed, and the boat doesn't want to help us, so please don't kill me. And he killed everybody else. So now he kind of made the boat take me, but he was like, you can't kill her. No, not allowed. Cannot kill her, but you gotta keep her with you forever. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are.
Speaking out to the boat, I asked him if they were ordered to not let others kill Fairlie and have her be reanimated to help him.
You don't get any answer back from the boat.
Maybe that's it doesn't care if she dies?
So wait a minute. Who's been raiding and pillaging the coast?
Probably the boat.
The boat's doing what the boat wants.
The boat can't talk to you, so it's not gonna answer your questions.
That was
Just
totally out of character.
Oh, no,
but
that's
just
okay.
food for thought.
Okay.
Didn't the boat
As he
talk to
said,
us the last time we were here?
It may have, but
The
since
individual inside the special room talks to us, not
Correct.
anywhere else in the boat.
and
That's
even then, it had a halfling bard attached to it. Essentially, that was we
Yes.
were basically communicating through.
That was the key, was that we had a proxy.
Oh wait, so we need a proxy.
Hey, Fairlie, come with us.
I mean, I'm already bound to the boat, so I can probably translate. Is that the right word?
I mean, I guess as good of an answer I can give you for a word.
But I guess the tactic here is I want to try to keep Fairlie talking and not enraged or taking any form of hostile action until my allies get here, because I mean, I promised the boat a dead Fairlie. I'm going to give the boat a dead Fairlie. So also I'm going to get paid for a dead Fairlie.
Yeah, but you can't kill the you in particular cannot land a fatal blow on Fairlie, I'll bet.
You're connected to this boat.
You
might
are an
have to kill it.
Yeah, you're an
That's fine.
extension of the boat.
That's perfectly fine. Somebody else can stick a sword through her. I'm cool with that. I'll deal as many blows as I can until she's right before death.
Just let me know when I get downstairs, Junie.
Very well. So as you are contemplating what's going on and attempting to talk to the boat in the hold down below, everyone from above deck got the message and are like, all right, fuck, let's go downstairs. And when you get down onto this particular deck here, where all the skeletal crewmen are effectively rowing their oars, staring at you blankly as you come down the steps, you maybe take a little pause and be like, whoa, okay, there's like 30 or so like big hulky looking skeleton guys grabbing oars and rowing. This is a little crazy because normally, you think big skeletal people usually try to want to kill you. So you make sure that they're not going to move at you once you come down the stairs. And once things appear to be cool, you're like, well, okay, I guess we go down some more before finding yourselves in the hold.
As we go
Meeting
down
up
to
with
the
everyone
hold,
else.
I just say under my breath, never did they prepare me for this in all my years.
And totally out of character, I just want to point out exactly how fucked up this situation is, just in general D&D terms. So not only are we literally like essentially in the stomach riding passenger on my patron of all things, the patron was like, I got something, can I please keep it? So it's like that little kid when you go grocery shopping that keeps pulling shit off the shelf, and it's like, I want this, and you're like, no, put it back. Sadly, guys, we have to eventually give them something, and that thing happens to be Fairlie.
Well, if not,
So,
they'll just take you instead. If
well,
they
I
can
mean, that
get
was
there,
already the plan. It's just I don't
Yeah,
know
but
at
we
what
gotta-
point in the future.
yeah, we gotta keep giving it other things there so we can keep traveling with you.
That's true. We do have a big undead dragon to kill, so.
Maybe we should have done this second.
So here you are in the bottom of the ship with a drunken Talasite cult leader. So what do?
Do we want to kill her while she's drunk? I mean, like,
It's the best time to
It
die.
would make it a lot easier
Like-
to hit her with a finger of death if she's drunk.
but
Is
also,
she
is that
literally
really?
the one ordering all of those undead skeletons to pillage and raid? Blackwind, you literally talk to this thing in your sleep.
Okay, so the skeletons. Remember the whole part where, there were supposedly some other Talisites around. Those are dead. You happen to pass by them on your way down here. They're
Okay.
rowing the ship now. So I probably wouldn't worry about them. They are firmly under the control of the ship. That much I can guarantee you.
Right, that wasn't my question. My question was, is the ship listening to Fairlie, and thus is she the one instructing the rest of the skeletons to pillage at her whims and fancies?
Probably right now, I would assume. But once released from Fairlie's control, though, or direction, I guess control isn't really the right word for captaining a several thousand-year-old ship of metal and bone and sentience. Yes, but it should go back to just basically sailing around doing jack shit once Fairlie is gone.
You mean sailing around looking for Anuria?
Don't tell the ship about Honoria.
5 seconds later, ship is like, "What about Honoria?"
Heard you
Don't,
talk about
don't-
Honoria.
yeah, don't tell them about Honoria. Anyways, so this is Fairlie. Pretty sure she needs to die.
I mean, I'm on my way.
So-
Sword drawn. I'm ready to take this bitch's
If
life.
we're gonna do it, I'll start blasting.
So Fairlie, being kind of drunk, but still Fairlie, realizes that you're kind of coming at her weapon. She's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hold on, whoa. Talos said I'm not supposed to die."
If you come back as a zombie, you're not dead.
Okay,
That's
maybe.
You're
a Talos
technically
kind
still
of answer,
dead.
isn't it? That's a Talos answer right there.
Okay, but I don't like it.
That's also
No.
a kind of Talos kind of situation.
I don't understand. This ship worshipped Merkel,
Mm-hmm.
and yet a Talos god told this ship, "You can't kill this one person."
Gods are very hard to disagree with.
What does the god? What does Merkel do for this ship?
They probably don't care much nowadays.
Maybe there's a reason why the ship is listening. I don't know.
Fairlie, why exactly did Talos bind you to this ship? I need some actual answers, so if you can't sober up within the next 5 minutes, I will help you.
All right. Slow down. All right. So, I fell in the water last time, right? And then the ship just kind of like, woo! And I had to go and find it again, which I did. Thank you very much. But when I found it, I had to lure it with something. Turns out that in Neverwinter, they may have a couple of things from the Honoria in their areas that I stole that are really old. And when I brought it to the ship was like, "Oh, I remember that. That's from Honoria." And I was like, "Yeah, and if you want more, you help me do what I gotta do, and I'll get you more." So he was like, "Yeah, he's getting the bribes." Mm-hmm. So then we went down to Leyland, and that was just a cluster. So we came back here, but I think Talos maybe is thinking that the ship wants more. So I think if we go back to Neverwinter, maybe we can get more to give the ship. That's what I'm thinking. Yep.
Azzy, how do you feel about this mean lady lying to the ship? I think it deserves some punishment.
Everyone is just like utterly dumbfounded right now, and I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those moments where I'm like,
We can help her to where she has to help the ship. If that's what she wants to do.
Well, what do you want to do? Because it's not the Fairlie adventure; it's the party of the five of you adventure.
Yeah, I'm saying this out loud to everybody.
Fairlie, has the ship ever questioned you of what happened to Honoria?
No, I don't think so.
Do you even know what Honoria is?
Well, of course I do. I did a lot of research when Talos told me about it, okay? Honoria was this place way over there somewhere. And you see they had a drought happen, and it became a big desert, and all the things kind of went whoosh under the sand, and it's gone. But don't tell the
go.
boat.
I think you just told the boat.
I know. Wasn't me. Not me. Not me at all.
Clearly was definitely you, considering you just spoke.
Wasn't me. And the boat, you can tell that the oars have stopped rowing. And the boat is kind of like adrift at the moment.
Did you hear that, boat? The mean drunk lady lied to you. You should drop anchor so we can get rid of her.
I'm just waiting.
So-
I step away from the stairs up against the wall.
So in your mind, Blackwind, you basically just can hear the resounding thought of Anuria, 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 Anuria. And then you just hear anchor, anchor, anchor. And the ship kind of restructures a little bit. Kind of reaching out from the bony grasps of the deck below the water around Fairlie, grabbing hold of her by the legs and starting to suck her under the water, encrusting her in bone, taking the shape and adding metal. And you hear the chortled and gurgling screams as a drunken half-orc, I think she was half-orc, is transformed into a human-esque half-orc metal bone anchor that then drops to the bottom where the ship is, so it stops moving.
That was an expedient solution. Well done, my great and powerful master.
You're a wonderful ship.
I just look to like the general area of the ship. You're welcome. Problem solved.
On that note, I will do my absolute best to find more artifacts of Honoria once I have helped my companions assist in dealing with a very, very evil undead dragon. If there are parts available, I'll bring them along to make sure that you get some too.
Without orders, it might have something, depending on what kind of collector it was back in its heyday.
That is true. The dragon might have something.
Also, Blackwind, I am sure you can talk to Lord Neverember and suggest your payment be in the form of some of the artifacts that Fairlie did mention.
Yes, or books and stories and histories and things of that nature as well. So if I recall correctly, the halfling who was formerly bound here was bound to because it knew songs of ancient Honoria. It would sing to the ship in order to keep it calm.
As he starts humming one of the songs, and then offers as well. I have considerable resources at my disposal, and assuming that Emberlost is no longer going to be pillaging the coast, I will devote a significant portion of those resources to discovering lost Honoria and recovering artifacts. I imagine no better place could be, or no place could be safer than on the last living remnant of it.
You don't
And I'm
get any.
sure
You don't get any response from the boat, but you
I'm
can
not expecting
you
one.
can feel that the anchor has pulled back up under the ship, and that the oars start moving again.
Well then, I suppose it is about time that we return to Leyland.
It might be best if we do so on foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We shall let your patron to their devices, since it seems they are satiated,
For
satisfied.
the moment.
So the boat basically takes you to a kind of a cove that you find along the shoreline, and drops its favorite anchor down into to hold it in the bay, and basically allows you to disembark
Mhm.
in a couple rowboats with whatever supplies you brought on board that you wish to remain and keep with you. And you make your way back to the coast before the ship raises anchor again and the oars return, and it kind of heads out onto the sea, minus a particular fog cloud. And it just kind of resounds into Blackwind's mind. Neverwinter. Neverwinter. Neverwinter.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Look what you've done.
I just gave the boat a suggestion, okay?
I might
It
be
followed
able to
up.
Get us there quickly. Maybe.
So, we find ourselves on the shores. Let me get my little pen back out. On the shores to the north. You are present. You have some rowboats there at the cove. You have some supplies that you brought off the ship. And that is basically all that you have with you at the moment. You can set out on foot if you would like to the roads. You could try to take as much of the supplies as you would like with you. You could head to Neverwinter. You could head to Leyland. That is up to you, which direction you want to go. But you're basically 5 people currently standing on a beach in a cove that has a clear path for being able to get out from the cliff faces. So you're not in any way blocked. The boat was nice. Okay. It gave you safe passage, sort of. So.
It is a giant undead dreadnought, so sort of is necessary to append onto the end of that sentence.
So now the question becomes, what would you like to do now?
Figure out how to get the supplies back to the city council.
Well,
and then go kill an undead dragon.
How would you go about doing that?
We
Good
should
question.
probably-
Anybody suggestions?
we
How many
should probably-
rowboats do we have?
Those.
What were you about to say, Cole?
We should probably head to Neverwinter since it is closer, and we then can get horses and go that way, because that will be smoother than traveling by sea when there's only 2 of us with 2 boats that really know these shores well. And again, they are rowboats.
About 20 miles to Neverwinter.
Depending on if with the teleportation circle spell, it says I would know 2 teleportation circles. What could one of them have been in Neverwinter?
Yeah, I mean that's where you trained, so I would assume.
Yeah, because I could use. I don't have teleportation circle prepared, but I do have teleport prepared, and it can use the circle as a destination point.
Right.
To get us to Neverwinter faster, at least, if people would agree to that.
True. I mean, with teleportation circle, though, do you actually know the spell?
Yeah, I have. Well, I also have teleport itself and teleportation circle base.
So, I mean, if we just camped out on the beach for the night, could you potentially just prepare the spell come morning, and then we could roll the supplies and everything else just right into the city? And be like, yo, what up? We're just popping in. We need a cart real quick to get back to Leyland.
I will. Yeah.
Be good to go there anyway. Lord, what's his face? Didn't he?
November.
He would want to know of our potential success, and it'd probably be good to follow up to make sure that our Warlock's patron isn't going to light up the piers of Neverwinter.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we're going to Neverwinter,
Exactly.
we might want to stop in and just give him a little warning.
Be like,
Mhm.
don't destroy the big, scary-looking metal and bone ship.
Yeah, if we wait until morning, I could draw the circle around the supplies, and we just go that way, because it only lasts 6 seconds for the flash of
That's
magic
fine.
circle.
So
I could have the supplies in the center of the circle and us in it as well then, when I activate.
Yep. And then we can all just move through it in turn and be in there within a round.
That's fine.
I believe, though, that the component for casting magic, teleportation circle does have a gold cost, yes?
Chalk and ink. If you go gems, that would be worth 50 gold total, which you spell consumes.
Okay, so
Yeah, the usual, like, the cost is always usually the cost in components, which the most of the basic cost components are just, like, throw it out because I assume that you have it first part of your kit. But the bigger item costs, like, for example, like a diamond worth 500 gold or, like, stuff like that, I would just subtract the cost out of your gold just for, being able to have the item, basically.
yeah. Cool. So sounds like we got a plan.
So what time of day is it now, actually?
It
'Cause I made
is.
it like midday before, but we're
It-
slow.
It is late afternoon. So it's basically like you probably have a couple hours or so until nightfall.
So basically enough time to set up a camp and then hunker down for the evening.
More or less.
Potentially discuss some strategies for dealing with Evan-Death, since that seems to be the next item on our checklist after we return to Leyland.
Yep.
So, emergency strategy meeting of the champions of Leyland.
I cast haste on someone and then blast it with magics from behind you people. That's always my plan, though. That would be easier to say that first.
Basically the battle strategy consistently is haste.
And then a failed disintegrate.
Yes. It's
It's
like that
Knockers
rolls for
cast
98
blast.
damage and didn't hit.
Oh, cool. It did instant death damage. Sorry, they got like an 18 instead of a 17. They pass. They don't take any damage.
And then Knockers cast Bless, and everybody forgets that you can roll the die more than once.
All right, so I assume we are going to just make camp here, or are we going to come up off the shoreline, or just make camp where it is?
Probably make camp just up off the shoreline a bit in case the tide rises would want to get.
Yeah.
Very well. So yes, you come inland a little bit off the coastline, just so that you're not swept away in the night, and bring all the supplies up and effectively just make camp like you normally would out in the wilderness with the supplies that you were given that are there to feed you and keep you sustained.
I ritual cast a tiny hut around this to make it a bit more comfortable in case it rains.
Okay, so then now you have a magical hut in which you are all cozy.
Well, we've got fresh water, we've got food, we've got fruit. Blackman's going to make herself a nice little drink and stick a slice of orange or lime or whatever fruit it is that we have. And just go.
And then pretend to drink it.
Oh no, I can still drink and eat things, I just don't need to. I'm the ultimate party animal.
It'd just be like the plastic aliens from Doctor Who.
So, wait a minute. Does that mean, like, because you don't need to, do you not metabolize this shit?
I mean, I would assume that I would, I don't get hungry.
Yeah, a Genasi would, but the fact that the pact and everything that's in place at this particular moment in time signifies that because of the pact, it's not a requirement.
Got it.
She survives off energy from her boat. Jason.
So the body has the capacity to do these things. It is no longer required to do so.
Got it.
Like
Hedonism
sleep.
for life.
However long that might be with your boat.
All right, so you basically camp out, And if you want to discuss any strategery in regards to what you're going to do with a drunken dragon down south, you can. But basically, your hut protects you over the evening, and you don't have to be concerned about potential dangers. And we will make it be the following morning. But if you want to have any discussions of what you think you would want to try to do, you are welcome to have them at any time now.
Sure. As he will approach Blackwind and sit down across from them, very bluntly ask, Emberlost is your patron?
Yep.
What does that mean? Do you know his intentions?
Hmm. So, do you know what a patron is?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to require the help of our good friend Nokris over here because there's lots of words and things. Between the two of us, powers are kind of like two sides of the same coin. So, the paladin there swears an oath, right? They get power from the oath. Except they don't really have to swear an oath to anybody or anything. Their power really comes from within themselves. Mine doesn't. I make a deal with somebody or something.
Something
In
far
return.
more powerful than they are.
Yeah.
I understand the underlying principles of it. What I don't understand is how you communicate with it. I'm asking if you understand its intentions. It was sailing north towards Neverwinter, and we just told it that Neverwinter may have a stock of artifacts from Honoria. Is it gonna go blasting? Because that won't be
Unlikely.
pretty.
Given the boat's origins, I believe it was at one point in its former life probably a strategist of no small skill. I haven't really spent any time of like digging into that yet. So I would assume that it wouldn't just go, pulling up to the docks and start blasting away with, guns of the line. But it definitely is seeking more information and artifacts from its homeland. Aside from that, it's a boat and it knows that it's not a human being anymore. So it wants to do what it can do as a boat.
So is that actually Emberlost, the Death Knight of Honoria, or is that Emberlost, the Dreadnought? Is Emberlost an entity now, or is it just the ship?
Both, kind of.
Ugh, that's confusing.
It is confusing, at which point Blackwind turns and offers her little fake drink to Azzy.
He downs it. All of it. Well, I guess if you think Neverwinter's safe, then I suppose we have nothing to worry about on that front. However, and he'll turn to Nokris. I know that you have a score to settle with a certain not paladin down south near the Mirror of Dead Men, where we last encountered him.
I
And
don't know where he's gone at this point, but I have a feeling he might be with Ebon Death.
we know that he's part necromantic because he sort of dissipated his form the same way Ebon Death did. So we're gonna go fight Ebon Death and hopefully kill this being. Then I would assume that we would encounter someone like him, if not him himself. So for you in particular, I'd say, heads up, something to think about.
I've already thought of that, trust me. I am well aware. When I talked with Gallo, he mentioned that, or rather his friend mentioned something similar, that someone had to enter the Ooth Tower in some way to allow it to manifest more fully. I am fairly certain it is probably who I think it is, and on that note, I don't know if I can truly destroy him at this point, because I need to find what he is attached to, because he is much like Ebon Death.
Well, there has to be a spell of seeing or scrying or something like that. When we'll be in Neverwinter tomorrow, we'll be able to go to the Starry-Eyed Robe and seek their counsel in this matter, I'm sure.
I just
Essentially,
realized
but
Parker doesn't know Narcissus' backstory. She
what?
was gone. Parker doesn't know Narcissus' thing because she was gone by then. So
Yes,
she's
she
a little
was.
confused.
Yeah, Blackwind wouldn't know about any of this either.
I just looked at both of them. Suffice to say, I have a very specific score to settle. When you mentioned that I swore that we paladins swear an oath to gain our powers, you're right. And our oath is not necessarily to a deity, it is more to a cause and a thought. Mine, I swore on vengeance.
Oh, lordy. We're all having our past come up in unexpected ways these days, aren't we?
Then I'll do all I can to assist you on this. I don't need to know everything, just enough to help you.
I appreciate it, but suffice to say, the enemy that we might be facing with me is very much in a similar vein to Ebon Death, but more of a paladin fallen in this regards, and frankly, he very likely, even if we go to the Starry-Eyed Robes, I do not believe that their scrying spells would have ease tracking down his source of power, considering I am fairly certain he is a finger of Vecna.
If you have his finger, can't you just, I don't know, you've got a piece of him, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something going on there.
There are still ways to detect against, right?
No,
Okay.
I do
Well.
not. That finger was not necessarily his per se. It specifically,
Go ahead.
It specifically allowed him to contact his particular patron, if you will, to borrow a turn of phrase from Blackwind. And frankly, having an idea of who that patron might be, there is not much that we could do to convince it. So
You
the
think it's Ebon
finger,
Death? You think it's
Oh,
Ebon Death?
if it was
No.
happening, that'd be so much easier.
It's not Ebon Death. Ebon Death's power, while great, is literally a candle in a hurricane compared to what this is that controls.
Is that Vecna guy you guys were talking about?
Talk about it out loud.
Please don't say it
You
loud.
don't speak of his name.
Say it one more time, he appears.
Oh, it's Voldemort.
And then we get TPK'd.
Suffice to say, Ebon Death's power, as mentioned, is like a candle in a hurricane compared to
The whispered one.
the source of my vengeance's power. He is literally able to control beings with simply, potentially, a drop of his blood if the stories are to be true.
Hell, I've gone into worse with less. So I imagine I'll just help you stab him again and again and again until we figure out how to separate this, right? Right.
Yup.
Make it not worth bringing him back.
So, all that being said, and all eyes on everything that we have in our stockade, the current plan is to head to Neverwinter, check in on the piers. I have a few contacts I need to ask about Honoria. And what then? We teleport or travel back down to Leyland?
We'll have to travel the long way to Leyland. From what I discussed with Galio, teleportation magics are disrupted due to the beacon. At least if you don't have a more permanent source.
I won't have my horse. Damn it. Well, I'm not buying another one, so maybe we could just take one of my ships down. But
Probably
so
a
that's
pretty
the goal
cool
then.
option.
We make our way back to Leyland after tomorrow.
Yep.
And then we begin preparations in full for the dealings with Evan
The Knot Dragon.
All
Yeah,
those
the-
jokes I made about a Draco Lich out of game.
Kind of sad that we made those checks. Also, it's a Draco Lich that lives in a swamp loaded with
tragic.
ruins. So
I mean,
I want to use.
you could kind of say like it lives in a pineapple under the sea.
Oh.
No, that's the patron.
No, I mean that's not too far off, I suppose, for Ebb and Death too. The sea is just kind of not really the ocean.
In the shallows.
Oh,
Right.
who lives in a swamp that's soupy and green? Ebb and Death.
So yeah, in the morning I get ready and draw out my circle underneath the supplies surrounding it.
Okay. Does everyone need to hold hands and sing Kumbaya to successfully teleport with the circle?
I mean, they can. They just have to make sure they could be in the circle before 6 seconds are up.
Okay, so
I'll
There you
make
have
sure they're aware and then just finish off the circle and jump through myself.
all right. Any last minute items for you guys to do on the sort of beach with your supplies before you are whisked away to Neverwinter?
Oh, making sure we stamp out any fires or other things we might be leaving a more permanent mark on the beach.
Very well.
Got to be responsible citizens of the
Right.
Sword Coast.
Turn
Sorry.
turn down
Batteries in the ocean.
turn down your camp for what exactly?
Gotta give the electric eel some food with car batteries before we leave.
All right, so you successfully break camp and prepare the circle, and then you are whisked away to Neverwinter, where you arrive with your goods in a circle, kind of much to the, I don't want to say surprise, but much to the non-expectant glare of many of an individual. See you just kind of show up within the teleportation circle.
I glare back at them menacingly.
And their replies are, "Oh, who are you? What is this? What is this about?"
Mind your own damn business.
Reporting word for Lord. I don't.
Never
Someone
Lord
help me
Neverember.
with for Lord Neverember on a duty they'd asked for the Tyler sites in the area.
Ah,
Reporting their destruction.
well, if it's on official business, then please proceed. He waves over to a guard captain to come over and says, These individuals here have come to report to the Lord, apparently on a mission of importance that he sent them upon. Please take them to the castle." And so he nods and asks for you to follow along.
And make sure to give a bow to the wizards that we did show up in front of and walk out with behind the guard.
Very well.
Nope. I do the little eye thing at them. Go like this.
All right. And so you make your way to meet with the Lord, but you find that you don't actually meet with the Lord because he's not going to meet with anyone because he's the Lord. He doesn't fucking do that. So you meet with one of his
For him,
you meet with one of his people. And they ask you, of what business did he send you upon?
we were dealing with the remnants of the Talos site in the area.
Ah, yes, down south in Leyland. Excellent, excellent. So, what has befallen them?
Most of them were killed by Talos.
I
then-
see.
The leader was turned into an anchor by the spirit boat, assuming? The Dreadnought, I believe it is called. I looked to our expert on the supernatural undeaths.
Turned into an anchor.
Yeah.
It's strange.
That's pretty cool.
That's well. I certainly do not wish that upon anyone I know, but I will take your word for it if it is in fact true. He basically will kind of look to the notation in the ledger to see that you are all to be rewarded, and so he distributes the money among you for your task completed.
Hell yeah.
I believe this should compensate you based upon the agreed upon amounts. So everyone gets a whopping 8,000
Oh,
gold.
everybody gets 8,000?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I thought it was the
I
8,000.
thought it was 8,000
Total.
total.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be 8,000 total if you don't want
no.
the extra gold. Just saying.
No. Mama needs her money.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why it was like literally set upon you by the Lord for protection with such a high price was simply because he felt it was very important.
Yup.
To save his ass, so he didn't have to try to do anything about it himself. So.
Yup.
Roving barbarian storm cults that are hostile to civilization tend to be pretty important.
I mean, yeah.
That's what they call lightning from this guy with drums.
That's well, yeah, but I mean, he didn't know that, so.
Also, one more note. The ship itself
Yes.
seems to have been heading in a northern direction, so just in case it comes this way, be on the lookout for that. It's a ship of metal and bone.
A ship of metal and bone. Okay, very well. And if we see it here, what are we supposed to do?
Offer up artifacts of Anoria.
Anurian artifacts.
Its consciousness seems to be a survivor from the fall of Anoria. It believes it was still around until the Talosite leader informed that it was gone, at which point it turned them into an anchor.
Well, that story just gets stranger and stranger, but all right, I will see to preparing that by the docks, just in the event that we may see a ship roll in.
If a government official looks at our party and says that story gets stranger and stranger, I just want to give a quick rundown of who we all are and what we probably look at least somewhat like. We have Blue Elf Lady. We have
Excuse the
Angry
fuck out of
Catwoman.
you. She's not a blue elf lady. She's a
I'm a
scaleless dragon. And you will
Noted.
respect that.
Noted. We have I think you're pretty short, if I recall correctly. Angry cat person with an axe. We have a very large, scaled, muscular person who carries a great sword and shoots fireballs.
Look at that scowl.
And then we have me. Like, my hair literally stands on end 24/7. And I talk to fucking boats in my head.
We're all people, and then we're telling them about how a boat turned a person into an anchor in front of us, and then we lived.
The boat whisperer.
There is nothing weird left to experience in Faerun after this.
Oh, there's probably plenty weird left to experience.
Don't say
No,
that.
John's really creative. I have to believe that he ran with this and didn't have any fucking like idea for it.
We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Don't worry about it.
This is kind of why I want to see John play an illusionist. I think he'd be really awesome at it.
So to kind of wrap us where we're at here at the moment, I'm gonna end session here in a few minutes, but we complete our kind of reception, let's call it, with Neverwinter. You receive your payouts, and you make your journey back south under rented carriage because there's no point in purchasing something outright. So you basically return trip back down south within another day's time, arriving at Leyland, much to find everything where you left it. Not like there's anything really threatening on the horizon that you're not sort of maybe almost kind of prepared for. And now that you're back in Leyland once more, with one goal remaining, you have your sights set upon it. And that is where we will hold off until next week on Dragon Ball Z. But yes, the reason why that whole ship experience with the Talosides got really weird is because Harper's attachment to the ship and the way the plot module wanted that to go was basically you boarded the ship and Fairlie was drunk, but basically your concept there was to kind of talk through the reasoning and the plans from Fairlie to learn more information about it, and then basically try to convince Fairlie how to convince Talos to not kill her. But Talos would then show up, and if he was displeased, he would effectively just decimate the ship and Fairlie, and the whole thing would basically have been just an onslaught for you guys to continuously be under siege by things and have to escape. So I was like, all right, so patron, can't kill a boat. I was like, what am I going to do here? So, but yeah.
I mean, either way, Fairlie was going to end up with a blade run through her at some point because after leading an attack on Leyland,
maybe not, because if she successfully convinced, Talos to effectively let her live, Talos may have let her live. That was up to my discretion, but obviously,
but this is D&D we're talking
right.
about.
Of course,
this is D&D.
This shit can happen. Like, you got in there and you're like, hey, so like instead of this boat being ripped asunder by Talos in his rage, it's a patron, so we can't do that. So Talos, fuck off. And then it's basically just like, now what do we do with a drunken sort of sailor?
what
And
do we do with drunken
We make her into an anchor.
and now they are an anchor.
And they'll be with the boat forever.
Forever.
Ever.
Thus not actually really defying what Talos had asked for. But, didn't really kill her per se, I guess, sort of, because the boat is a unliving thing. So technically, if she's part of it, she's kind of unliving. So gray area.
She's not completely dead.
Right. I mean, she's part of a living boat that's not really alive.
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
Right.
Yo.
Exactly. So she's there forever.
The entire time we were on the boat, that was just going through my head. Part of the ship, part of the crew, part of the ship, part of the crew.
Well, that may or may not have come true. So, all right. Well, anyways, I will stop stream now.